Welcome back for week 2 beginner strength training for runners. We are going to start today's session with a nice warm-up, starting with jumping jacks. Each exercise is going to be about 30 seconds. Here we go. Just ease into the movements. Warm-up's designed just to loosen up all the major muscle groups, get all the big joints moving before we get into the core work and the strength training. Keep going. Feel free to slow it down, speed it up as you feel fit for it. Okay, now we're going to switch into doing some toe walks. So we're going to walk forward on our toes, trying to keep our heels elevated as high as possible, walk forwards, and then we're going to walk backwards. If you're limited in space, just walk in place on your toes. And now we're going to go into side walking. So doing some side steps, staying up on those toes. This just gets the inside and the outside part of the lower leg. Now switching into heel walking, lift your toes up, trying to get your toes up towards your shins as high as you can, walking forwards and backwards. Really good for anterior shin splint type pain, warming up that big muscle on the front of your shin. And go into side steps, again keeping the toes elevated the whole time, walking on the heels. Now we're going into our step overs. So imagine an invisible fence in front of your knees and you're trying to lift the leg up and over. Really exaggerate that up and over motion to get those hip rotators to open up. And again, if you're limited on space, just do this in place. As it feels easier, then you can increase the height of the leg and really get the leg up and over, up and over. And backwards one more time. Okay, now we're going to go into an A skip. So we're going to skip and drive the knee up as high as we can. Get into a nice rhythm. And you don't have to move again. You can do this all in place. Skipping is an excellent way to get a little quicker warm up into the muscles and helps with some timing of quick contractions throughout the muscles. Now we're going to go into a stationary run, so we're going to do a figure 4 run. So think about just lifting the thigh up and the heel up towards your buttocks and run in place. So standing up nice and tall, just lifting the heel up. This is designed to just get a good feel for what it feels like to just lift the leg up while running. Okay. Warm up is done. Now we're going to get into our core strengthening, and we're going to start with the glute bridge double leg. So we're going to rotate our back, our pelvis into the ground, so engage our core. We're going to lift up, squeeze the glutes at the top of the motion each time. Real strong contractions, make sure every single rep counts. Keep going. Now as you get to the 10th rep, we're going to hold at the top position and impulse. And we'll do 10 impulses. So just work that end range of motion, in and out, in and out. Try to really squeeze the glutes at that end range. Good. Now switch to single leg glute bridge, and we're going to go 10 on each side. Keeping the core engaged, squeezing through the glute at the top end of the motion. And on the 10th rep, we're going to hold and we're going to impulse. Now switch sides. We're going to do 10 single leg glute bridges again, keeping the core engaged, lift up, squeeze the glute nice and firmly at the top end of that motion. And then on the 10th rep, you're going to hold, and then we're going to do 5 impulses, working that end range of motion, end range hip extension. And impulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now for the next exercise, we're gonna go into side planks. If you're new to side planks, keep your knees bent 90 degrees. If you've done them before, just go ahead and straighten out your legs. And we're gonna do holds with impulses. So hold for 4, 3, 2, 1, pulse, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, pulse, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, pulse, 2, 3, hold, 2, pulse, 2, hold, and one more impulse. Switch sides. So do the same thing, holds with impulses. Go ahead and lift up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, impulse, 2, and hold, and one more rep. Next exercise we're going into is the hamstring bridge. So on your backs, get your feet further out away from your buttocks this time. You're gonna dig your heels into the ground and pull the heels towards your body. We're gonna do 5 reps and then we're going to march on the last rep. So lift up, real strong squeeze into the hamstrings. And then with this last one, we're gonna hold. Now lift one leg up and lower it back down, do the other. Keep repeating, trying to keep your hips nice and high, keep going. This is a tough one if you haven't done it before. And relax. Shake out your hamstrings a little bit. Now we're gonna go into the runner's plank. So you're gonna go on your backs, body nice and straight, just like a plank. Push up from your forearms and your heels to lift your body off the ground. Slight bend in the knees, okay, and we're gonna hold this position. I'll hold it for about 15, 20 seconds, keep going. Really press down your heels through your forearms and elbows, lift your body up, nice tight core. Almost there. All right, good work. Shake everything out. Core is done. Now we're gonna switch into our strength circuit. So we're gonna do 3 rounds of the strength, just like we did in week 1. And first exercise we're gonna start with is a split squat. So you're gonna stand at the front of your mat and keep one leg forward, one leg goes back. And we are going to keep the torso lean forward just a bit. This will encourage a little bit more gluteal activation. You don't have to touch your knee onto the ground, just get close to the ground and come back up. We're gonna do 10 on each side. Here we go. And switch sides. There we go. If you need to adjust that back foot to make it more comfortable and get the right range of motion, please do. But really feel the entire leg working in that lead leg. A lot of glute, hamstring, and quad activation with this exercise. Okay, now we're gonna go into push-ups. So face down on the ground, hands just about mat width apart, a little bit wider, nice tight plank position, and here we go, 10 reps. And feel free to go at your own pace. If you need to adjust this, you can go down to your knees and do knee push-ups. Just make it accessible for you. Now we're standing up and we're gonna go into the kickstand. So this is same exercise we did in week 1. Lead leg is doing the work, back leg goes backwards and out to the side, and then we're going to hinge through the hip. So let's try it. Keeping 90% of your weight on that lead leg, hinge down, press up. Hinge down, press up. You don't want the back leg too far back. You want to make sure you can get full hip extension at the top end of this motion. Really feel the hamstrings and the glutes when you do this motion. If you need to slow it down because you're not familiar with the movement, that's fine. We'll do 3 rounds of this so you can get used to it. Now let's switch sides. So now back leg, backing out. 90% of the weight on that lead leg, and there you go. Strong squeeze through the glute and hamstring at the top end of that motion, and sink down into the glute every single time at the bottom end of that motion. Okay, shake out the legs. Now we're going to face down on the mat. We're going to put our arms into a W-type formation, and we're going to squeeze our shoulder blades together. After we squeeze, we're going to lift our arms up above our head and back down to the starting position, holding the whole time. Keep your neck in a good position by staring straight down at the mat. Do not arch your neck. That can cause a little bit of neck tension, neck stiffness. Real strong squeeze of those shoulder blades at the bottom end of the motion. Really reach up nice and far, keeping those mid-back muscles engaged. Good. Now we're going to do stomp ups. So this is something that you can do just on the ground, and you can just press your foot straight down, and then you're gonna lift the other leg up as quick as possible. So real quick contractions, press down, lift the leg up. If you do have access to a step though, I recommend doing it there to where you will do the same thing on an elevated step or surface. So I'm gonna do it on a box over here. So I'm starting with the leg up, and I'm going to do a quick press down and drive that knee up. Step down, drive the knee up. We're gonna do 10 on each side. So again, if you have a box or if you have a stair, great. If not, just do this on the flat ground and try to move quick with the motions. It's a great exercise to work on the timing of quick muscle contractions when your foot hits the ground. Okay, let's switch sides. Same thing. Quick contraction, step up. Drive the knee up. What can help is with the breathing as well. As you stomp down, drive the knee up, strong exhale every single time. Keep going, almost there. Okay, final exercise of the round. You can do this on a step, or you can do this on the ground, but we're gonna do a Soleus Raise. So what this means is we're gonna keep our knees bent, but our feet are still gonna be flat on the floor, and then we're going to press up through our toes, and our body's gonna come up off the ground each time to challenge the deeper leg muscles in the lower leg. So here we go. Keep the knee bent, pressing up through the toes, trying to get your head up towards the ceiling while keeping the knees bent. That's the most important part, to try to target the soleus and the deeper flexor muscles of the lower leg. Now I'm using some support in my hand. You can also use railing. You can use a foam roller to give you a little bit of balance as you do this exercise. Okay, that was round one. We're gonna do 2 more rounds of that circuit. Take a little bit of a breather, grab some water if you like. Now remember, when we get into the second and third rounds, just go at your own pace. If you need to slow the movements down, make sure you're doing it correctly, please do. And if you want to go a little bit faster, keep up with the pace that I'm doing, that's great. But just tailor it to your own needs. Okay, we're gonna start the second round now. We're gonna do split squats, stand at the front of your mat. Lead leg doing all the work. And we're gonna drop down, close to the ground, not driving that knee into the ground, just stopping right before that, pressing up, strong contractions through the glutes, hamstrings, quadriceps, slight lean forward through the torso. 10 reps each side. Now switch. Really making sure that lead leg's doing the work. You don't want to press off that back leg. Now we're going to push-ups. So knees or feet, whichever you're comfortable with. Hands just wider than the mat. Do 10 reps. Hold that good plank position the entire time. And here we go. Okay, let's stand up, middle of the mat. We're gonna go into the kickstand. So again, lead leg doing the work, back leg goes back and out. Lead leg 90% of your weight, back leg's just for a little bit of balance, and we're gonna work on the hip hinge, so really sitting down into the hip and standing back up. Minimal bend through the knee, mainly focusing on moving through the hip. 10 reps each side. And on the last rep, this time we're going to sit down into a spot where you really feel the hip, and then we're going to impulse. Just stay there, up and down, up and down. Keeping that lead leg working, try to get to 10, feel a good burn into that hip, good. Now let's switch sides. So we'll do the same thing, we'll do the 10 reps. Leg backing out, 90% of your weight, lead leg. Here we go. Sitting down to the hip, standing back up. Almost there. And then on the last rep, again, we're going to hold when we're deep into the hinge, and we're gonna do some impulses. So here we go. And impulse. Really feel that glute burn, making sure you're keeping that weight on that lead leg. Try to get to 10. Okay, good. Now we're gonna go face down on the mat. We're gonna go into the W's to the overhead reach. So working those mid-back musculature. Here we go, W, hold, head up off the ground slightly, reaching up overhead. Really feel that mid-back engage. Stare straight down so you're not craning your neck. Shooting for about 10 repetitions. Okay, now we're gonna go to the stomp up. So again, if you don't have a step or a elevated surface, then just do it on the ground. And you're just going to, again, quickly press down, switch by bringing the other knee up, stomp down, leg up. Stomp down, leg up. And again, doing it on the box over there. And here we go, we're doing 10 on each side. Strong exhale every time you're doing the movement. Just helps a little bit with that quick contraction when you exhale strongly. Okay, switch sides, 10 on the other side now. Quickly down, knee up. Each time at the top end of the motion, just feel a real strong glute hamstring contraction at the top. Okay, now we're gonna finish off the round with the Soleus Raise. So again, bend the knees as far as you can while keeping your feet flat. And then you're gonna press up onto your toes. And again, trying to get your body to elevate each time, head towards the ceiling, but keep that knee bent. It's a slightly awkward movement at first, but once you get it down, you'll feel a good burn into those deeper lower leg muscles. around the Achilles area. Okay, wraps up round 2. Take a little breather, get some water if you need to, and then we'll finish with that 3rd round of the circuit. Remember, just keep going at your own pace. Slow it down or speed it up as necessary. All right, so let's start the last round. Split squats, nice wide stance, and here we go. Lean forward through the torso. Really feel that glute engage, hamstring engage. Keep going, 10 on each side. Okay, let's switch. Really start feeling that burn in this 3rd round. Okay. I'm going to our last round of push-ups. So knees over feet. Here we go. All right, and stand back up, middle of the mat. We're gonna go into the kickstand. This time we're just doing 10 straight through, no impulses at the end. As we get further along in the 6-week program, we will be using some weights with this movement. So this is a really great exercise to keep practicing, getting really familiar with, because it's a very versatile exercise. Now let's switch sides. All right, now we're going face down. Last round of W's to reach overhead for the mid-back. Here we go, doing about 10 reps. Strong squeeze into the W, strong lift overhead, keeping that mid-back engaged. Keep going. Get the most out of each of those squeezes at the bottom of the motion. Good. Okay, final round of the stomp ups. So go over to your stair or just do it standing on the flat ground. Here we go. 10 each side. Exhale when you press down and lift the leg up. Keep going. Strong contraction of the glute at the top end of this motion. Switching sides. Here we go. Okay, last exercise, Soleus Raise. Bend those knees, feet flat on the floor, and raising up. Keep that bend in the knee as you press up through the toes, trying to get your body weight up. Almost done. Okay, that's it. That's a tough one for me. I always feel a strong burn with that one. Okay, we're gonna go into a little bit of a cool down. So we're gonna start with what's called a Cowboy Sit. So go into lunge position, kneel down all the way. The back leg, toes are curled underneath the foot, and you're gonna start sitting your body weight back onto your heel. Now, if you have real stiff, tight arches and toes, this can feel really intense, so you don't have to sit all the way back like I am. And you can use your hands on the side of your body just to help support your body weight if you can't make it all the way back. But if you can make it all the way back, just sit there, really feel that stretch into the arches and the toes. Now come up out of it, we're gonna go into a hip flexor stretch on that same side, same leg. Squeeze your glute on that side to help initiate the hip flexor stretch. Reach up towards the ceiling and tilt off to the opposite side and hold. Should feel a nice stretch on the front of the thigh, front of the hip. So now let's switch sides. We're gonna go into the Cowboy Sit on the opposite side now. So again, curl the toes, sit back onto the heel. Use your hands if you need to vary your body weight. Deep breaths with the stretches. Now come up out of the stretch, go into the hip flexor stretch, squeeze the glute. Lift your arm up towards the ceiling and tilt away from the side we're stretching. Keep breathing, nice, slow, deep breaths. And then we're going to end with a nice little groin stretch. So frog stretch, get the thighs nice and wide, and then you're gonna sit your butt back towards the heels and hold. Just take it to a nice mild stretch. The wider you go, the more of a stretch you should feel, and just hang out there. So this is the last stretch, but please feel free to stretch any other muscles that you want to finish the session today. This wraps up week 2 strength training for runners. And this is a 6-week program, so make sure you keep tuning in. And if you like this video, please like it, subscribe to our channel, share it with a friend who can use some run-specific strength training. And we'll see you guys in the next video.